The Canon 5D Mark IV promises to be everything you could hope for in an SLR. As per previous 5D models, it has a full-frame sensor, a big 0.71x viewfinder, a weather-sealed magnesium alloy body, and plentiful controls and sockets. The new features read like a personal wish list: an upgraded 61-point autofocus sensor for improved subject tracking when using the viewfinder, a new 30-megapixel sensor with Canon's Dual Pixel technology for fast, accurate autofocus in live view and video modes, 4K video capture, a touch screen for video autofocus control, improved weather sealing, GPS, Wi-Fi, and 7 FPS continuous shooting, up from 6 FPS on the EOS 5D Mark III and 5 FPS on the 50-megapixel EOS 5DS. The screen isn't articulated, though. I guess I could live without an articulated screen for video work, just about, if I really had to. Canon EOS 5D Mark IV review, design and layout. Externally, barely anything has changed since the 5D Mark III, and with good reason. There's a button for virtually every photographic function, with most settings adjusted by pressing a button and spinning the command dial or rear wheel. The touchscreen is the biggest addition, not only helping with autofocus for live view and video modes, but also speeding up menu navigation. The view through the viewfinder is relatively uncluttered by default, with illuminated exposure settings at the bottom, but there are options to show an electronic level, battery capacity, exposure, drive and metering modes, white balance preset and various other settings overlaid across the optical viewfinder image. GPS is nicely implemented, with an option to keep the GPS radio on even when power is off in order to maintain an accurate position. With this option selected, a GPS icon flashes on the passive LCD screen to remind you it's enabled. A hardware button or switch to turn it on and off would have been even better, but that's not among the options for the customizable buttons. Most photos were accurately geotagged, with just a few occasions when the GPS radio temporarily stopped updating. Full-frame sensor. The 30MP full-frame sensor really shows its worth in both landscape and macro applications. Scenic photography locations in both Oregon and in the Canadian Rockies afforded excellent opportunities to test the higher resolution captures, leading to cropping options and larger prints. Increased resolution also improved the sharpness of macro captures. But note that achieving the full potential of all those pixels depends on employing quality lenses at their optimum settings and mitigating camera movement by using a tripod. A feature that helps in this regard is a new shutter mechanism that reduces mirror bounce and is quieter than previous shutters. I'm pleased with the improved dynamic range of the sensor in the 5D Mark IV. It's evident in an image of a small waterfall located near the Oregon coast. The sunlit bubbles are very bright, and to keep from blowing them out, I had to underexpose much of the rest of the image, so the original raw capture doesn't accurately convey the tonal range of the scene. But the information is there, and it was revealed by two post-processing shadow opening applications, once in the initial camera raw process, and then again in camera raw as accessed through the filter menu in Photoshop CC 2015.5. Autofocus. The quality components of autofocus include how quickly it works, how well it works in low light, and, more recently, autofocus capability and video capture. The Canon 5D Mark IV has the same autofocus working parts as Canon's top-of-the-line action camera, the EOS 1DX Mark II, so its autofocus speed and sensitivity down to -3 are as good as any Canon camera made. 61 f-points cover a large part of the sensor area, slightly more than the 5D Mark III's, and the information displayed in the viewfinder is extensive, customizable and easy to read. The 5D Mark IV also allows full f with most lenses to f/8. This is very important to those of us who occasionally employ a tele-extender that limits us to a maximum aperture of f/8. I often use the Canon f100 to 400mm f/4.5 to 5.6 liters as 2 USM lens with the Canon extender f1.4x3, 140 to 560mm at f/8. There are some interesting autofocus features in the 5D Mark IV that are shared with the 1DX Mark II. One of these is the ability in live view to touch an area of the image on the rear LCD to focus to that point. It can be programmed so that the touch of the LCD screen actually takes the picture. The rear LCD on the 5D Mark IV is an improved 1.62 million 3.2-inch screen. The 5D Mk3 has a 1.04 million LCD that helps to check focus, edit images and, in video, monitor what the camera is capturing. Speed: the 5D Mark IV has a maximum capture rate of 7 fps, one better than the 5D Mark III, and clearly sufficient for most wildlife photography. It's also important to note that 21 raw frames can be captured before the buffer fills and the camera comes to a halt. That's pretty good considering each raw frame is from a 30MP sensor. If you switch the capture format to large JPEGs, the duration is limited only by the space available on the recording media. There are slots for one CF card and one SD card. Video: the 5D Mark IV builds on the video prowess that began with the 5D Mark II by now adding 4K video, 4096 by 2160, and excellent Dual Pixel CMOS AF video autofocus. Following a subject, such as fast-moving kayakers or whitewater rafters, is very easy, and attention can be paid to the composition of the capture instead of where the focus is. I have used this feature extensively on the EOS 70D and 80D with great results, and it's even better on the 5D Mark IV and the 1DX Mark II. Full HD video, 1920 by 1080, is available at frame rates from 23.98 fps to 59.94 fps, and if you're looking for slow motion, 120 fps at 1280 by 720 is possible. Both MOV and MP4 video formats are supported. Built-in Wi-Fi: this feature wasn't on my wish list before I started using the 5D Mark IV, but now that I have the camera I think it's useful. It's not that I want to send photos from my camera to social media, because I don't. It's the ability to use the Camera Connect app on my smartphone. The well-thought-out app allows you to view images from the camera, see what the camera is seeing in live view, and control the camera without touching it. The camera can be fired remotely from a distance of up to 100 feet or more in my field tests. This eliminates the need to purchase a remote cable or other wireless transmitter, which could cost over $100. GPS: this is another feature that I didn't know I needed. I have the camera set to record GPS locations whenever it is turned on. Mode 2. You can set it to be on all the time. Mode 1, to record the track of the camera as it moves, but the battery drain is just too much. Using the GPS info, I was later able to properly identify every location. This is a feature I will definitely put to use in the future. Touchscreen LCD: generally considered to be a feature for amateur photographers, the touchscreen hasn't been included on cameras intended for advanced users until the 5D Mark IV. In fact, the touchscreen can be very useful and makes it faster to change the camera's settings when in the field or studio. Hopefully the folks at Canon now know we all like it. Built-in: the 5D Mark IV has a useful movie time-lapse mode, an intervalometer, HDR and multiple exposure capabilities built in. Someone was listening. Size matters. Lastly, I'll mention weight. The 5D Mark IV weighs 31.39 ounces with cards and battery. This is actually 2 ounces less than the 5D Mark III and 22.58 ounces less than the EOS 1DX Mark II. When you consider working outdoors, in the field all day with a camera hanging on your neck, 1.4 pounds is a difference that matters. It's a keeper. These are some of things I found worthy of note in the new EOS 5D Mark IV while using it intensively and almost exclusively for Canon and in preparation for this article. It's a welcome addition to the 5D line of Canon DSLRs. So just how important is it for nature and wildlife photographers? Well, my very own 5D Mark IV arrived last week, and I'll be going forward with it as my general use camera, while looking to my EOS 1DX Mark II and 5 DSLR to address more specific applications where speed, or resolution, are the most critical factors. The 5D Mark IV's quality, versatility, utility and ease of handling all add up to a valuable asset for outdoor photographers, and the additional capability of 4K video frame grabs is a major game changer